The government signs partnership contracts with a second batch of 25 strategic enterprises. State bodies and Hong Kong officials reject criticisms against Article 23 legislation by Western politicians. And a warning that 1.1 million people in the Gaza Strip are facing catastrophic hunger. Hello and welcome to TVB News. The government signed partnership contracts with 25 strategic enterprises today. Many are from the mainland.
Welcome to all of you.
Following the first signing ceremony around half a year ago, the government held another ceremony today with 25 strategic enterprises being brought in by the Office for Attracting Strategic Enterprises, or OASIS. 19 of them did not have an office in Hong Kong before. Chief Executive Wong Yi said, alongside the first batch of companies, the entry of these enterprises will inject more than $40 billion of investment into Hong Kong's economy and create some 13,000 jobs over the next few years.
Hong Kong serves as a super connector and super value adder for international companies eager to enter the Chinese market and for mainland Chinese companies willing to expand their global presence.
Today's ceremony is another significant advance in Hong Kong's rise as an international innovation and technology hub.
The 25 strategic enterprises encompass fields such as medical technology, artificial intelligence, and logistics. Most are from the mainland. They include Chinese home appliance manufacturer Zhou Yong, which is setting up a research and development center at Hong Kong Science Park, biopharmaceutical company Nuance Pharma, and Shenzhen-based humanoid robot maker UB Tech, which was listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange last year.
Hong Kong is a very special market for international innovative technologies. There's a very good infrastructures, R&D cultures in the universities here in Hong Kong.
6 other companies are from the U.S. They include AI-driven biotech company Biomap, which was co-founded by Baidu's founder Robin Li.
From the data protection, from the IP, from the common law practice, it's all very good for us to base in Hong Kong, serving global partners or global users.
Another U.S.-based company is PayCargo, the world's largest logistics payment platform, which chose Hong Kong to be its first point of entry to tap the Asian market.
The value of Hong Kong, it's not the market size of Hong Kong itself, but Hong Kong's role in Asia.
As to whether the U.S.-based company is concerned about geopolitical repercussions after the Basic Law Article 23 legislation.
Article 23 will provide Hong Kong a more stable environment to do business. Putting into consideration the geopolitical tensions, we do believe that no matter what, mainland China, it's the largest origin market for a lot of our customers.
The government also said the Office for Attracting Strategic Enterprises will reach out to at least 300 more companies, with more partnerships signed with strategic enterprises. Jacqueline, TVB News.
Since the passing of the third reading of the Safeguarding National Security Bill in the Legislative Council yesterday, the UK and EU have swiftly criticized the bill as damaging Hong Kong people's freedoms and rights. The Commissioner's Office of China's Foreign Ministry in Hong Kong and senior Hong Kong officials have rejected their criticisms, saying the bill has widespread support in the city and that all criticisms are from outside Hong Kong. Mimo Singhai reports.
On Tuesday, the city's lawmakers unanimously passed the Basic Law Article 23 legislation. The Legislative Council only took 12 days to pass the bill. On the same day, British Foreign Secretary David Cameron issued a statement regarding the fast passage of the legislation. Cameron said the bill will have far-reaching implications for Hong Kong. He said it has broad definitions of national security and external interference, which will make it harder for those who live, work and do business in the city. Such definitions, he added, cannot offer certainty for international organizations. Cameron also said the bill will further damage the rights and freedoms enjoyed in the city. The European Union, meanwhile, said the significantly increased penalties provided for in the bill are deeply worrying. U.S. Senator Marco Rubio and 76 British MPs and public figures also condemned the passage of the legislation. They called on the Hong Kong government to repeal the 2020 National Security Law. The Commissioner's Office of China's Foreign Ministry in Hong Kong responded today. It criticized the UK for its double standard and hypocrisy when its own human rights record is not shiny. The office urged the UK to give up its colonial influence in Hong Kong and stop interfering in Hong Kong matters and China's internal affairs. Similarly, the office also said the European Union should leave behind the double standards and prejudices. It said that legislation will provide a better legal protection for Hong Kong's development. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs also commented today.
China deplores and firmly opposes a few countries and institutions' smearing and slandering of the bill.
Lin said authorities are confident in Hong Kong's high quality and stable development under the One China, Two Systems. In Hong Kong, Secretary for Securities Chris Tan said authorities have spent almost 50 hours to discuss and scrutinize Article 23. That means the bill was not passed in a hurry. Meanwhile, Chief Secretary for Administration Eric Chan criticized overseas countries for wanting to destroy the calmness in the SAR. News 9, TVB News.
With the passing of the third reading of Article 23, Tam Yu Chung, Hong Kong's former deputy to the National People's Congress Standing Committee, said the city can finally focus its efforts and resources on developing the economy. Jackie Lin spoke with the longtime pro-Beijing politician.
After we passed the bill, we have concentrated to how to develop the economy.
The remark was made by former lawmaker Tam Yu Chung, Hong Kong's former sole delegate at the National People's Congress Standing Committee. He is currently the Secretary General of the Hong Kong Coalition.
National security law deferred quite a long time, near 27 years already. So this time, when we prepare well, and so we do our best to how to as early as possible to pass the law.
But the newly passed national security legislation drew criticism from the West with possible threats of sanctions on Beijing and Hong Kong officials. The 74-year-old said he's not too worried.
I think there's double standard about our national security law. Every country, they have such kind of law to protect their own country. Why China, Hong Kong cannot have such kind of law? It is nonsense. And also, at the same time, we will do the best for ourselves, and also to explain to the world why we need to do it this way. And also, I want to point out that a very important point is we protect the national security as well as the people's right and freedoms.
Tam also said his successor, Story Lee, as Hong Kong's youngest ever National People's Congress Standing Committee member, will continue to rally for resources and policies beneficial to Hong Kong's economy with the trust of Beijing.
Story Lee she have done very well. I think in the coming future, also he will do quite a lot of such kind of things to how to help the Hong Kong to have the good relation or a link up to both sides. I mean, in the past experience, central government always help Hong Kong. When we Hong Kong, we need some help.
Tam revealed that the Hong Kong Coalition will publish the results of their report with 4 universities, namely HKU, CUHK, HKUST, and CityU, on the 4th anniversary of establishment in May. The report will cover suggestions to expedite the development of Hong Kong's role as a hub for aviation, intellectual property, trade, and international cultural exchanges. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
A police officer in the anti-triad unit has been sentenced to 23 years and 10 months in jail for stealing drugs seized during an operation and selling them to a drug dealer. The case stemmed from a police operation in 2020 when officers searched a hotel room in Shim Sa Tsui and seized 200 grams of drugs, including methamphetamine, also known as ice, and cocaine. There, a 45-year-old station sergeant surnamed Hui suddenly entered the room and was found to be in possession of 2 kilograms of ice. Hui and a woman in the hotel room were both arrested. After investigation, it was found that Hui's drugs came from an earlier operation when police seized 300 kilograms of drugs worth $150 million. Hui later admitted to stealing 24 kilograms of those drugs and selling them to the female defendant. She was sentenced to 16 years and 6 months in jail. The International Hunger Monitor, the IPC, has published its report on Gaza. It says 1.1 million people in the Strip have completely exhausted their food supplies and are facing catastrophic hunger. This as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu rejected a plea by U.S. President Joe Biden to hold off on an attack on Rafah, the southernmost district in Gaza, where 1.5 million people are sheltering. Almost 32,000 people in Gaza have been killed since October 7th, when Palestinian groups led by Hamas launched an attack on Israel. Nazvi Karim with more.
Palestinians at the Jabalia refugee camp in northern Gaza clamor for food at the center run by UNRWA, the UN relief agency for Palestine. Some return to their camp with nothing. The IPC, the Global Hunger Monitor, says food shortages in the Gaza Strip has already far surpassed famine levels, and people will start dying at famine scale without a ceasefire.
This one actually records the highest number of people facing catastrophic hunger ever recorded by an IPC anywhere at any time in the world. So it shows you the severity of that, especially in the north part of the country, where over 70% of the people are in real difficult circumstances there.
Agencies say Israel has refused to provide security for the hundreds of aid trucks waiting to cross into Gaza from various points, while Israel says agencies are responsible for security. Reports indicate Palestinian clans have banded together to provide armed protection to trucks so they can deliver food and supplies to the desperate in Gaza. Reuters reports that around 30 of these people were killed by an Israeli airstrike on a major roundabout, an attack Hamas says was aimed at spreading chaos and security anarchy. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is visiting Saudi Arabia and Egypt for talks on the situation in Gaza. He spoke to reporters before he left the Philippines.
Again, according to the most respected measure of these things, 100% of the population in Gaza is at severe levels of acute food insecurity. That's the first time an entire population has been so classified.
Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reiterated his determination to launch an offensive in Rafah, despite pleas from U.S. President Joe Biden to hold off. Close to 1.5 million Palestinians, most of them displaced, are sheltering in Rafah, where Israel says the last of Hamas battalions are operating. In Gaza City, Israeli troops raided the Al-Shifa hospital again, saying they killed around 50 Hamas fighters and arrested hundreds. Hamas says all those killed were civilians. Nazvi Karim, TVB News.
Still ahead, Wong Yi meets Australia's Prime Minister and Foreign Minister in Canberra. The World Meteorological Organization sounds a red alert to the world amid global warming problems. Some lawmakers suggest another delay for the municipal solid waste charging scheme. Welcome back. Foreign Minister Wong Yi has met Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese in Canberra. Earlier, Wong also had talks with his Australian counterpart, Penny Wong. One of the focuses of this trip is whether the punitive tariff imposed on Australian wine by China will be removed. Wong said the final decision will be announced by the end of this month. Sakura Ip reports from Australia.
Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese met with Foreign Minister Wong Yi at the Parliament building at Canberra today. He said that trade and investments have been active again as the China-Australia relations gets back on track. Albanese also gave high praise to China's achievement in battling poverty. He added he is willing to maintain top-level cooperation in various fields. Wong Yi said since the Labour Party is in power again, China-Australia relations have undergone significant changes which align with Australia's long-term interests.
Thanks very much.
Wong Yi also held the 7th China-Australia Foreign and Strategic Dialogue with Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong. This year is the 10th anniversary of the comprehensive strategic partnership between China and Australia. Wong Yi said China-Australia relations broke the ice with a joint effort. Both should build a more mature, stable and fruitful comprehensive strategic partnership. One of the focuses of the trip is whether the punitive wine tariff imposed by China in 2021 would be removed. During the meeting, Wong Yi said it has been handled properly and China will announce a final decision by the end of this month. He also stated China's principles on issues related to Taiwan, Hong Kong and Xinjiang, stressing that two countries should respect each other without interference. Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong said that teams from both countries are preparing for Premier Li Qiang's visit to Australia. She also mentioned that Australia will continue to advocate for removing more trade restrictions.
We're very proud of our wine and our lobster and our beef, and we think Chinese consumers would benefit from all of those products having access to the Chinese market without any impediments. That's been the position. We look forward to a final decision.
Foreign Minister Wong Yi will head to Sydney for more meetings tomorrow. It will be the last stop of this tour to New Zealand and Australia. Sakari Ip, TVB News, Canberra.
World Meteorological Organization, or WMO, is sounding a red alert to the world as every global climate record was broken last year. And 2024 could be worse, according to the Geneva-based agency's annual State of the Global Climate Report released Tuesday. Tracy Furness has more.
The UN Weather Agency said in its latest annual climate report that the average temperatures last year hit the highest levels in its 174 years of record keeping, reaching 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. It cited record-smashing increases in greenhouse gases, land and water temperatures, and melting glaciers and sea ice. It warned that the world's attempts to reverse the trend have been inadequate, and this year will possibly break last year's record-breaking temperatures.
We cannot say definitely that 2024 is going to be the warmth year, but what I would say, there is a high probability that 2024 will again break the record of 2023. But let's wait and see.
The report said that ocean temperatures were the warmest in 65 years of data, with more than 90% of the seas having experienced heatwave conditions during the year.
There is, however, a glimmer of hope. Renewable energy generation is surging. In 2023, clean energy capacity additions increased by almost 50% over 2022. Weather and climate services will be vital to power the transition to solar, wind and hydropower.
Solo called the climate crisis the defining challenge that humanity faces and said it combines with a crisis of inequality as seen in growing food insecurity and migration. WMO said the impact of heat waves, floods and droughts, wildfires and tropical cyclones, exacerbated by climate change, was felt in lives and livelihoods on every continent in 2023. The report comes as climate experts and government ministers will meet in Copenhagen on Thursday and Friday to press for greater climate action, including commitment to fight global warming. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
The municipal solid waste charging scheme was initially meant to be implemented on April 1st, but the government delayed it until August 1st. Some lawmakers voiced their suspicions about the readiness of the measure and suggested authorities delay it further. Timothy Lee tells us more.
The implementation of Hong Kong's waste charging scheme was previously delayed by 4 months from the original date of April 1st. Nevertheless, many questions regarding the scheme remain among the community. At a legislative council meeting today, some lawmakers questioned authorities about the One Bag Two Uses initiative for the designated garbage bags. Several of them do not believe residents will also use the designated bags as shopping bags, stressing that regular plastic bags cost less than its government-mandated counterpart.
Has plans to require authorized retailers to cease selling PSBs in the foreseeable future. On the implementation of One Bag for Dual Use, more than 90% of the authorized retail outlets of DBs have agreed to sell single DBs at the checkout counters. We have noticed that some authorized retailers have begun planning to cease the sale of regular plastic bags in the future and sell only DBs to reduce their costs.
Retailers selling such garbage bags are also eligible for financial support from the Environmental Protection Department. Some lawmakers question the government on why it has not revealed the amount of subsidies. Lawmaker Edward Leung emphasized the subsidies come from public funds and that the public as well as legislators have the right to monitor the measure. The city's environment chief noted authorities have already negotiated with retailers selling the designated bags, adding that the government does not want to reveal the numbers owing to differences in its deals. Meanwhile, several lawmakers believe the waste charging scheme is still lacking and should be further delayed.
There is community wisdom out there. At supermarkets, wet markets, grocery stores, or restaurants, people pick up a plastic bag, and if that bag can be used for carrying garbage, then people can use that bag in such a way and reduce waste. The authorized retailers are inclined to selling D-bags. So will the government consider a model where we wait till August 1st and only then we start charging for the bag?
The government said it will make further considerations and plan for the next step for the scheme's implementation. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
That is the news. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.